The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 7th day of October, 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, and here's our guest host for the day, Perry Ferbert, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Good morning, Miss P.
Good morning. Thank you
Welcome,
for having me.
welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited, actually. A tiny bit nervous, but I'm pretty sure that'll leave soon.
Well, you know, you've been a guest on the show previously.
I have.
Yeah, and I think Roger, Sherry, and Sancha, all before they joined me in the hot seat, were guests on the show. So I think, you know, it's a pathway. Actually, Maya too. Yeah, it's a pathway. It's a pathway. Everyone was a guest before they came on. So hopefully you have fun.
I feel honored to be here. This is an incredible platform. So I'm just happy to be a part of the game today.
It's an honor to have you. And folks, be nice to her because she'll bite back.
Let's keep it light.
She'll be nice back. All right. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we discuss what concerns you most in Bermuda right now. What concerns you most right now? The Daily Play is a Who Said It. So that means it's a famous quote. And from that famous quote, that means that, well, Perry's going to have to guess who said it, and we'll give us some hints.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, she's got it. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Well, let's jump right into it. There's so much going on in the world, and we can't touch on everything. One of the things I realized, Perry, from just observing social media, right, is there's so many different issues for so many different people, right? Yeah. I was scrolling like social media this weekend, and I'm going to be just frank with you folks, so forgive me. I don't know if Perry knows, but I don't understand the Middle East, and I don't want to say thing, but actions in there. I don't understand the Israeli and Palestine thing. I don't, so please don't expect me to speak on it. What I do know is that most wars do lead to increased prices somehow. I have been given insight that there's mainly only seniors at this morning's march at Belco. I don't know who's putting it on. We don't know who's putting it on. So we haven't been able to speak to someone, gather intelligence or insight. So for us this morning, we're leaving it to all of you to let us know what concerns you most. Some people have had Belco recently, right? Some people have had grocery prices. You know, it's so many different things. Some people I see, they can't get the orders on time when shipping things to Bermuda. You know, I had an issue where I was trying to ship something via Amazon and couldn't get it through. But what concerns you most right now about Bermuda, audience? Let us know. Is there anything on your mind, Perry?
Yeah, you kind of touched on one, and I think it's an ongoing issue in Bermuda, and that was the shipping. So I run a business called Go With The Label. I am an artist. I wear a lot of different hats, but that is something that gets a lot of my focus and has for the last 13 years. This business is 13. And we ship mass orders into the country. And I've been mass producing for the last 4 years, 2019. So did that in Toronto and then moved back home and did it here. And what I can say is, as much as I can see the efforts of efficiency there, We're not quite there all the way. And I see a lot, I don't face this, but I see a lot of people talking about their mailbox costs or third-party entities where they're like, this is as much as the shipping, or this costs more than the actual product. And I know that that is an issue for a lot of people. I don't personally face that, but what I do struggle with, and I know it's like not one person to blame, or one entity to blame. I know a lot of people like to blame customs, and I don't really like to do that. I have questions for customs, but I don't blame customs. And I just feel like when someone has a registered business and they pay the tax for that business, or they pay to register that business, which is a pretty penny every year, our packages should be sorted or cleared or however separately, right? This is something that is hopefully aiding to the economy. And there should just be a separate process. I feel that because I am a consumer personally, so I buy online like everyone else, but I'm also a business owner. And there are time constraints on that. So me as a personal shopper, of course, I'm like, oh, I need this for this, or I have a gift for this, or, you know, we all have those personal time constraints. So when you are running a business and that is tied to your livelihood, the business that you pay the government a tax for, there should be a different level of urgency on that. And that's something that I find a lot. And I know that from agency to agency, so from FedEx to DHL to UPS, there's all different standards with the customs agent. So this one will have this preference, but then this one is looking for this information. So as the shipper or the receiver, you never really know what to give them, because you're like, well, last time this was okay. This time you're asking me for something else, or you're telling me that what I did the last time wasn't good enough. It becomes very confusing. So I think it would be awesome, if possible, because I know not everything is just cut and dry. If possible, there was some sort of standardization across agents. Like, this is what we're looking for within this ballpark. Like, I heard something the other day about my address, and I'm like, I've been shipping to this address for the last 4 years. I don't.
So how many agencies are we talking that things go through? Because we faced it as a company, like especially around the holidays, and it's like, okay, we were told November 21st, and now it's December 8th, and so on. But I think people need to get an understanding on this in terms of consumer versus business shipping and how it impacts goods in Bermuda. We're talking not just clothing and retail, but also food. You know, there are people bringing in goods, and that process, you said not necessarily cost, but it could be a thing. I heard someone saying recently, oh, I don't purchase produce in Bermuda because of, it goes bad so fast. Well, processes. I mean, we need to up the game. Folks, again, the question of the morning is, what concerns you most as a Bermudian right now? It's on you. What concerns you most? What is on your mind? How is it impacting your life and your livelihood? Good morning to you as well, Jamaica Smith, and good morning, Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He says, good morning. It is Monday. This is a gracious host, Jamal, favorite day of the week. Let's do him a solid and smash the like button. Well, you can do that if you'd like. We'd appreciate that. But Perry, go a bit deeper in terms of, I know I was just talking to someone this weekend about when I needed to send things for my business to my business partners to Bermuda. One of the concerns I had was we didn't have trouble 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Until, well, what's that number for consumers? It's
CAPS ID.
That CAPS ID, yes. That changed the game. Now it's not as seamless. So I have to actually bring things with me if I want to get them there on time and just pay customs duty on stuff. Challenge.
I haven't found that the CAPS ID has been confusing for me. I think, like everyone else, when it was introduced, I was confused because I'm like, what is the point? But I do know that from region to region, they have their own internal processes. And for Bermuda, it is the CAPS ID. I don't have any problems with that. That's just their internal order. And again, we don't work there, so we don't know what it's like on the inside of why they implemented this or what's the reason. I don't have any issues with that. I'm very compliant when it's like, okay, if this is what you need, cool. But sometimes if it's not standardized, to my earlier point, as the person on the outside of it, it just has to make a little bit more sense, because the last time this was not required. And this time it is required, not talking about the CAPS ID, just in terms of information that has to be submitted. And I'm specifically talking about if you're a business owner, you have to submit invoices.
Mhm.
So there's a specific way the invoice should look, and
Mhm.
certain words that should be omitted, and X, Y, and Z. And from agent to agent, certain things are okay and certain things are not. So
Mhm.
when you are on a time crunch and something is already delayed, which has nothing to do with any entity in Bermuda, sometimes it's overseas
Yep.
before it gets here, there are just issues. So
Mhm.
by time, and if you're tracking it, you can see that your package is here.
Mhm.
So I know for me, we do pre-sales, we do a lot. Like sometimes I have customers, money, like it's a whole lot of things. Or just my personal schedule. We really release a lot of product in a year. I have an internal schedule. I have people that I pay. We need to get our stuff.
Yeah.
So any extra little issue on the tail end of it where it's not standardized really becomes a problem, because then you're taking these extra days to figure out what it is you have to submit.
Mhm.
And then, not every time, but then you're also met with attitude. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, I don't know what it is, So forgive me for not knowing,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And a lot of times the representative that you deal with will even share their concerns and be like, I agree with you. I know they're not supposed to do that because they could
Mhm.
jeopardize their job, but sometimes they agree. They're just like, I don't know why. I'm being for real, and you are correct. I don't know why you need this time and the last time, because we
You
do it
wouldn't like if someone on your company did that, right?
huh?
You wouldn't like if someone in your company did that, though.
No, I wouldn't, but I also believe in fairness.
Yeah.
Like if something ain't fair, tell me at the top so then we can make it a little bit more efficient. And I'm sure, like, I'm not the first person to voice this. And like I said, I never like to point fingers
Yeah.
because I'm not on the inside. I don't know why. And I don't understand the stress that comes with that job and dealing with multiple angry customers. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
Um, but as a customer who does this often, it would just be better
Mhm.
when you know exactly what you need to submit and you have a better idea of that process from the gate, and it doesn't change.
Indeed.
The goalpost doesn't change.
Indeed, folks. What concerns you most as a Bermudian right now, and what are the solutions to your concerns? What concerns you most, and what are the solutions to your concerns? Sam Cat Place says, "Good morning, TDH fam. Rising prices and trying to keep up. It's hard to try and save as it's always something that's needed, and the cost isn't cheap, especially when you are maintaining a mortgage."
Yeah.
Rising prices is something, someone shared a tweet this weekend. I believe they were in Canada, um, and they were grocery shopping, and so few Bermudians responded saying, "Oh, so it's not just Bermuda."
No.
I mean, again, I don't understand most wars because it's just not something I've started or read about. But
Mhm.
we know what happens when there's wars, especially wars in the Middle East, right? Prices tend to rise, oil starts to rise. Now, currently, I believe there's action taking place at Belco, right? Well, you might be there again in a couple weeks if the response to that is that oil prices go up, right? Because
Right.
Belco's just going to have an excuse to say, well, look, we're not going to take the loss. I'm not saying this is what they'll do, but we've seen this happen, right? We've seen this happen. So how do we combat the rise in prices? Now, don't hate me for what I'm about to say, but sometimes it's all within us. Like, what changes can we make to combat rising prices? Can we, you know what? I can't afford my 1-bedroom apartment anymore. Let me go ask my parents if I can stay with them for 6 months to a year so that I can get myself right. Are we willing to make those kind of sacrifices personally? Are we willing to say, you know what? I can't afford to drive my car to work every day. Let me carpool and some friends, 1 week me, 1 week them. Are we willing to make those kind of sacrifices? I'm not making excuses for government or entities, but I've told you on this show before that not all businesses are greedy.
It's true.
Some businesses actually need to make money to stay in business. Sometimes the onus is on us. What are we going to do? So the question is, we can discuss our concerns, but what are the solutions? I think Perry mentioned it. She says standardizing the process, right?
Yeah.
To shipping. Like, what are the solutions to these problems? So Sam Cat Place, there's rising prices trying to keep up. What is it that you can do differently to respond to the rise in prices? Is there anything that you can cut out? for maybe not forever, but maybe over the next 6 weeks or 6 months, whatever you think will put you in a better space. What can we do as individuals to respond to our concerns? What can we do that's going to, I don't want to say make things easier, but to ease the stress, I guess. Ease the stress. I mean, it's not going to be easy if we're paying out of, just what we can afford. But I want us to think about that as we discuss what concerns us most. If you ask me that same question, what concerns me most? I would say, I have a soft spot for elderly people and children. I believe that elderly people and children are the most vulnerable in our community. And I think the more I learn about the vulnerable in our community, the more concerned I become. And I ask myself, what are the solutions? Bermuda has an aging population, right? With an aging population and not enough people who's going to take care of this aging population? Young Bermudians are leaving in droves, right?
Yeah, someone just mentioned that.
Yeah, like we're leaving in droves. Like what can we do? Well, let's go to the comments. Harry, you want to read Charles one?
Yeah, what concerns me most is the number of Bermudians who have left or are looking to leave Bermuda. Bermuda needs more people who are full community participants, not just making money to send home. A lot of elements come into that. I know for the younger generation, there's just not that many opportunities here. More people cannot afford to retire when that time comes, so they stay in their jobs, thus holding those positions. So there's actually no room for some of the younger generation to thrive in the areas that they would like, And there's also a bit of internal competition in those spaces too, where people don't want to leave, they don't want to pass on the torch. And there's a lacking in passing on that information because of pride. That's not always the case, but I would be a liar if I said it didn't exist. So sometimes people leave because there's no space for them, or people who want to start a family. I know of a couple recently, and this happens all the time, but they just couldn't afford to raise their children here. It's just too expensive. Wanting to eat healthy in Bermuda is exorbitant, and with our humidity, you got to eat damn vegetables quick, because next thing you know, they're in the trash and you have wasted your money. And if you're in a single home, single income home, you can't afford to do that. So there are a lot of reasons why people leave. Sometimes they just want a different experience, and I'm honestly not opposed to that. I think if you are of the global mindset, you're going to come home at some point. But I think that experience gleaned is also really helpful for our community, should you come back and be welcomed back and your ideas and your experiences have place. And a lot of times that doesn't happen and people leave again.
Is there anything is there anything that you believe we can do to bring people back? I mean, you've lived outside of Bermuda. Many of us still do live outside of Bermuda. Like what can we do to bring people back?
Well, I know that this is the first ever art month. Shout out to tourism for that. They've done an incredible internal work of changing around and putting the right people in place. Because I used to have a lot to say about tourism and their ads and how white they were.
I still do, but go ahead.
They didn't connect, but I can see the changes, and I've actually communicated that, just as a consumer of what they're putting out, I can see the changes, right? And I'm appreciative of it. So that aside, you ask what can be done. They are now making space for artists in Bermuda. That's an incentivization for people who are in that community to want to showcase their work or just feel that they are seen, instead of thriving outside of Bermuda or seeking that attention or that validation outside of their home country. So that is one thing I can say has caught my attention, and I think that it is fantastic. I think if we create more space for people in specific entities and highlight them, make a big fuss about it, we might see more people staying. And of course, where we can, because there's a lot of money floating around.
Ooh, there she goes.
There is a lot. So if we could just put that money in the right places, I think we would see the what's the word I want to use? The reinforcement there and the reactions to it in a really positive way. but a lot of people want to put money in different spaces, and then we're seeing the repercussions of that.
Yeah, I say it all the time on the show. There's money in Bermuda, folks. Don't be fooled. Just because you may not have some of it doesn't mean it's not. We're asking what concerns you most as a Bermudian right now. And Samcat Place earlier, she said rise in prices, and we asked, well, what's the solution to that? How can we respond? And she says, growing my own garden, but there's a wait for that to power off. Oh, right, okay. There's a wait for that to pay off, and it was a cost to get it started properly. Well, yeah, it's not. It does cost to start, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it is a solution. I guess the question is, if we don't start now, then when, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's also lifestyle changes, and I know no one wants to do that, myself included, like that spa day, or, maybe your nails done, or just the personal maintenance that we feel like we deserve. You don't want to just live your life to work. I don't even believe that that's like the entirety of how your life should go. It is how many people's lives go, but there's no fullness to that, but it may require lifestyle changes, and people have to be prepared for that, to cut back where you can, or to learn how to do some things yourself.
Yeah.
You can cut your own hair, cut your own hair. If you can do your own pedicure, do your own pedicure. Or, like a lot of people learned how to do a lot of things during the pandemic because it was survival. So we are capable of doing things for ourselves if we really want to. The thing is we just don't. And that's not a solid solution for all things, but it can help you cut some corners where you can.
Yeah, I need a study done, because I've seen some people tweet things like, for years it's been said, eating at home is cheaper than eating out, and you've had some people arguing against that in Bermuda lately, saying that's not true.
It's not. And honestly, having lived in Toronto, in the heart of that city, I could say it's the same there too. I lived. It wasn't like a prominent area, but it was relatively pricey for what it was. And I used to tell people, oh, I shop at the Sobeys, and they're like, you're rich. And I'm like, this feels like Bermuda. This is what I'm used to, but even there you would have to grocery shop hunt, establishment hunt, like you do in Bermuda. Like I got my produce at Lindo's because the produce at the marketplace close to me looks like it's been in a fight. So if I'm paying for it, I'm gonna pay. You know what I mean? So I had to do that in Toronto as well. So, and that was years ago. So yeah, I agree. Eating out, if you got a decent sized portion and you have leftovers for that, it's the same thing as when you cook at home.
Well, folks, I've seen people say it, so I haven't thought about it or did it, but I can understand. I get it. Let's bring Maya in for the Daily Hour news break. I wonder if she's got some updates, what's happening over there at Balco. Interesting times in Bermuda. But folks, keep it coming. Let us know what concerns you most. But after Maya and the Daily Hour news break, it is Monday hold on.
9th.
Thank you, Perry. The 9th, and Perry is guest hosting with me today, folks. Show her some love. Her first day. Hopefully, you don't scare her off.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Good this morning. Just trying to keep up with you guys and keep up with what's ever going on in the protests right now on the left of me, watching TNN's live.
Okay. Well, first with us, you're relatively younger than me. What concerns you most right now as a Bermudian?
I guess what concerns me most is the fact that everyone's leaving, but the fact that there's no real opportunity in Bermuda, truthfully. I see what they're doing, and I'm not disputing that they're opening up like different pathways for people to figure out what jobs that they want, or even giving certificates. But at the end of the day, like we said, people have to stay in those positions way longer anyway, because they can't retire at the time that they want. Yeah, so I guess the fact that everyone's leaving, I do hope that people come back, because I could be by on saying that any close friend that I do have does not live in Bermuda anymore. And that's kind of like a sad figure when I think about it. Like my top 5 friends, they don't live in Bermuda anymore. So it's kind of hard, even with that statement as well for if you do have those friends and they're gone, why are you staying? Because like, it's one of those things as well. So yeah, the fact that everyone's leaving, but hopefully people come back.
I wanna emphasize that point because when Perry said it earlier, I want to say I met with a CEO, a very prominent CEO in the IB sector, early this year, late last year, and almost like the truth about the IB sector is not being told. It's like we're promoting this sector to so many young people, and there's just not enough space for them, right? They're eliminating jobs. There's not that, and this is from the CEO. This is not some study that's saying, okay, there's all these opportunities in this space. There's not as many opportunities as we're saying there are, So that was very interesting.
It's the same as attorneys too, lawyers. A lot of students going off to become lawyers, and there's a lot of lawyers that have not retired yet. So there's just not a lot of room, and we glorify that. And I have nothing against it, but we glorify that profession choice. And I can only assume that the space is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I could be wrong, though. I don't have anything to back that up. But it's a space where you see lots of people joining that space because of how we've glamorized it as a society. But there are so many different professions. Look at all of the foreigners that are here, not just in like entry-level jobs, but right at the top. There are a lot of people that, Bermudians could be facilitating those spaces or occupying those spaces if we are properly vetted and prepared for them. I don't even think that we know that they exist a lot of times. So,
agreed.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true. A lot of us don't even know what the IB sector has to offer us, especially I could say for me in public school, ain't no way I knew anything about the IB sector, what it had to offer me as a public school student.
Yeah.
What you got for me?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Island Newsbreak brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Just a quick insight if you haven't looked over or tapped into TNN's live about what's going on at the protest. I had a little video right here so you guys can kind of just see what it looks like, how many people are kind of there. Not too many numbers, truthfully, if I counted out, maybe under 30 people, and they have their signs, and they're basically just wrapping around a tree there, if you can see it in the corner there in the back. And cars are still able to come through. So that's kind of what we are able to see right now. If you tap into TNN's live right now, it's still going on, still the same thing happening.
Let me go into, go ahead, Maya. I'm just gonna try to view live so I can see if there's anyone courageous enough to block the driveway. Sorry.
Well, I've been watching and not quite yet. Everyone's stopping and allowing traffic to still move through. And you see there's Tobacco workers who are there helping people to actually come through as well in the traffic line.
Real quickly, this guy speaking, he said we need more numbers out. And I guess my question to this, I'm sorry, I'm never done that. Maya, I'm going to apologize for you the rest of the day.
No, go ahead, because it's happening right now.
I guess my question is, how long is this going on? Like 7 a.m. until, like, I don't have any details. I don't know if you guys know anything, but I just don't know. I don't want to speak or give a heavy opinion about this because I just don't know. I don't know if you guys have received anything.
No, I haven't received anything. Anything I received was from the potential of when it was supposed to be Fridays, and the police put out a notice, and you saw it on other news outlets. The only news outlets that we saw it on for today was TNN, and then Burn News as well also went live for a bit. TNN is still there, and I can look at it right now, and I see there's almost 100 people who are watching the live as well. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there to cover it for you guys this morning.
Well, protesting is a spectator sport at this point, so yeah. Continue, sorry.
Well, in our other news this morning, I know we have all been staying right in and locked into our cricket team. And there was such a devastating loss the other day. So let's just tap into listen in a little bit about that from this newscast.
Devastating loss leaves tears, but Bermuda's cricket team leaves its mark. Bermuda was left in stunned silence as the national team's hopes of making it to the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 was shattered in a heart-wrenching defeat to Canada on October 7th by 39 runs. Throughout the tournament, Bermuda's cricket team showcased its mettle, winning hearts, and earned respect on the international stage. Their extraordinary journey was marked by outstanding performances by players like Trey Manders, Camille Lavrock, and Darway Rollins. Moments of cricketing brilliance that will be remembered for years to come. The Bermuda team defied expectations and created history in the qualifying rounds. From memorable catches to match-winning innings, the players demonstrated their commitment and skill, making the nation proud. While the T20 Cricket World Cup may be out of its reach this time, Bermuda's cricket team has proven that their potential is limitless. Camus Lavrock was named both the tournament's top batsman with 233 runs and most valuable player.
I'm sorry, Maya. Kamal Levra.
Oh, Kamal Lavrock. Apologies.
I feel for him. You know, I saw, I felt their pain. I don't know about you guys, but it's nothing like seeing people put their all into something and not win it. You both have done it. Like, I mean, I see how you guys work so hard at your craft, and to not achieve the results. And as I said to Delray in response to his tweet, is like, learn from it, grow from it, and become better from it. That's the only way to respond to setbacks.
I agree with you there. It's an unfortunate loss. It never feels good in these type of circumstances. So, but big ups to the team, because they did an extraordinary job throughout the entire qualification round. So it's just hard to witness. Mm-hmm. In other news, I did get to speak with C8 winner for the by-election, Ben Smith. As you know, I had a report about Misha Fubler's loss, and now I asked Ben Smith, like, how does the recent win reflect on the One Bermuda Alliance and the current political landscape within Bermuda? And here's what he had to say.
I believe that the increased numbers that the OBA saw and that I saw at the end of this campaign shows that there are people that are starting to believe that the One Bermuda Alliance has made the changes necessary in order to take on the problems of this country and to take the government back. And at the same time, I believe that the frustration and what is happening in the country by the present government was shown in the results, not just from the One Bermuda Alliance gaining back some of the people that were supporters and that had not come out to vote in 2020, but also the low numbers of the Progressive Labor Party support.
Look, I'm beginning to really dislike politics and the politicians. Well, I already dislike the politicians, but I'll say this much. It's up to us as people to not just show up at polls during an election, but to hold people accountable. We don't hold them accountable just when they're doing something directly to us. We do that for the sake of our families, our friends, our community, because without, we're only as strong, no matter how good we are as individuals, as the weakest or the most vulnerable in our community. So I would just say, from a political standpoint, regardless of how many people voted for one over the other, the concerns of the people still remain. And so I hope that's top of mind when we think about who won by how much, who lost by how much. At the end of the day, whether you've been by 51% or 73%, the goal should remain the same. The people first. So.
Yeah.
Well, furthermore, on other news, as we might already know, October 10th is a day to recognize homelessness globally. And I spoke with Minister Tanae Furbert, the Minister of Social Development and Seniors, about the recent survey that they actually have that you can find on forms.gov.bm for the community to actually answer questions on what they believe homelessness looks like or what it is in Bermuda. So throughout our discussion, we actually spoke about some of the myths of what homelessness looks like and also basically what the minister wants to see being done in Bermuda. So let's take a look.
I would like there to be a plentiful stock in Bermuda of housing options so that people, the calls that we get, who so-and-so is looking for a apartment, they can't find a place, they need somewhere to stay, they have to be out in 3 months or a month or a day. That rapid rehousing is key for any community in helping to curb the amount of homelessness that they have in their community. So that is my wish. But like I said, this is not just a conversation that we're having today. This will be a conversation for a lifetime, and we need to continue to keep the awareness up in our community as it relates to the issues that we are dealing with when it comes to homelessness.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I guess I'll close out by just asking you to share maybe a myth of homelessness in Bermuda that you kind of pointed out a little bit there so people can actually grasp like a better idea of what it really is.
Sure. So there is a myth that homeless people are lazy and they don't work. But we have information and research and statistics that tells us that the majority of persons who find themselves in a homeless situation are workers, are people who work.
You know, I'm looking forward to the conversation with Denise Carey tomorrow
Mhm.
about homelessness, and she's the head of an organization called Home.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned, and I'll probably repeat it tomorrow from volunteering at a homeless shelter, Crossroads in Rhode Island many years ago, is that homeless is not just something people who don't want to work end up in. You know, it's not a space that, you know, people end up in because they don't want to do anything. There are people who actually age out of foster care. I learned, you know, there are people who return disabled from fighting for their country and aren't able to get opportunities. There are people who, you know, got thrown out of the house soon as they turned 18 with nowhere to turn, and opportunities just weren't there for them. So there's so many different circumstances, and I think addressing those stigmas and really educating people as to what homelessness actually is. Something I learned recently: homelessness doesn't mean you don't have a place to stay. It could mean going from house to house, right? You don't have a fixed abode, right? So I think it's so much deeper. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
I do. So when they how do I want to word this? I was actually a part of the street team that went around in 2021 to interview housing insecure. That's actually what I call it now. And I learned that during that time because there is a stigma attached to the word homeless. So housing insecure, I think, is a better way to pad that. I learned that during that time. And just sitting and talking with individuals who aren't lazy, you know, many of which had a job, many of which just listening to the stories of individuals, it humanizes them, you know, and they do carry a lot of shame, which is unfortunate because a lot of times it's not even their fault, you know, it has nothing to do with drug use, and nothing to do, none of that, you know. I remember hearing quite a few times that an individual lived with their grandparent and then the grandparent died. And then, you know, because of paperwork and, you know, we don't really talk about wills as much as we could, X, Y, and Z. And of course, a will can be challenged. You know, there's a lot of things that can come about. And then they end up without a home, you know, a place that was rightfully theirs, that was understood by the homeowner, that this was their home. Or people become housing insecure when they are dating someone. You share a home and then that ends and then you have nowhere to live. So I learned a lot during that time. It broke my heart to know that there were kids that were housing insecure with their parents. Yeah, so I'm very, very, very excited about this initiative that has been rolled out in Bermuda because it's one that is not talked about a lot. And there are more housing insecure people with jobs that people probably work with every day who sleep in their car and you would never know. You know, they find up in a bathroom and then they go to work. They don't smell, they don't look homeless, but they are. And it's unfortunate. And I wish that people felt safe enough within our community to share that more, you know. Yeah.
Well, definitely going to be speaking on it more this week, and government's supposed to be rolling out some more initiatives that they said that they have provided as their promise in their initiative. But closing out this morning's sports report with morning's news with some sports. So Tyler Smith is one of the 11 athletes who will be going to represent Bermuda at the Pan Am Games later this month. So I spoke with Tyler about his preparations and asked him how Dame Flora Duffy's 2020 gold medal actually influenced his athletic career as a triathlete as well. So here's what he had to say.
Yeah, that was insane. I remember I was in the UK at the time watching that, and yeah, we were up late, and I remember just waking up the next morning like with this feeling of anything's possible. And that was kind of the first time in my life I really felt like that. And I remember waking up the next morning, we had a run session. I absolutely cooked it, like probably one of the best sessions I've ever had in my life, because I just thought like anything is possible. Like the times that the coach set, I'm just gonna run. I can run 10 seconds per K faster than that, you know? And I was just like, I don't know, just on such a high for such a long time. And it gives you a good sense of pride as well. And I don't know, it almost felt like in the next races, you know, you have that Bermuda on your suit and you're like, okay, there's an expectation here now. Like, we're not just a small country, like making up the numbers. Like, we have the reigning Olympic gold medalists. So yeah, it just gives you like a different sense of where you can get to on the world stage.
Two things. First thing is, I have so much admiration for anyone who swims, rides, and then runs. This brother has trouble just jogging morning, so much respect to you. Second thing is, hate to be controversial, but has I mean just a little, but has the government updated us on whether or not our athletes are going to be able to have a flag and represent Bermuda?
Jamal, I've probably sent off a lot of emails. So I did send off some over the weekend, not only to our, ministry, but also to the Olympic Association and to the WADA, because the time's closing up. October 13th is very much so on its way. That's the deadline for Bermuda to become compliant under doing what they had to do through legislation. So I did ask Tyler how he felt about Bermuda's status right now as being non-compliant, and we're going to close out the news with his response. Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working, which is very upsetting. I'm just going to try it one more time. See if it goes. Okay. No, we're not going to hear it today. But basically, if I could phrase it up, Tyler says that it's very disappointing to see this, and once you're non-compliant, like you really can't take that back. Like it happened, it's happened. We're on now a stage that we don't really want to be on currently as a nation, as an island. He is confident though that the ministry said they're working on it, so hopefully they do get to work on it. And he also stated that it's quite surprising that they haven't really spoken to the athletes themselves yet, but he is feeling that like he had a good conversation with the minister when he was on the island he spoke about, and he hopes that that we all learn from this experience.
Alrighty. And it looks like Rosalind Famous said, shout out to Bermuda youth representing the country in Singapore at the Robotics Olympics. Okay.
Yes, that did happen as well. I did read that report over the weekend. I was going to have it for you guys tomorrow, but thank you for mentioning it.
Congratulations. Maya, before you, so the weather must be bad this morning because there's not many people at the march, right? So the weather's bad, right?
Sunny breaks with a few showers around, that's what's really showing. So nothing too major or serious. And we have a high of 81 degrees Fahrenheit. And if I'm looking right now on the live, I see someone with an umbrella out. So looking like a little bit of sprinkles going on right now. Windshield wipers aren't really blowing on anyone's cars, so it's not horrible. So.
All righty. Well, it's time for the days of the year. So, well, Maya kind of mentioned today is World Homeless Day. And this day was born out of discussions between aid workers around the world, all of whom were helping the homeless in their communities. The aim and slogan of the day is Locals Act Locally on a Global Day. The emphasis is on giving hands-on aid, kind of what Perry was saying she was doing, that is sensitive to locals' needs while being aware of the global problem of homelessness. And feeling solidarity with other charity workers around the world. So how should we observe a day like this? Well, number one, raise awareness, host a fundraiser. But I think it's also important, and again, Perry kind of touched on this just now, it's very important to understand the factors into homelessness, right? So it can be from physical health, mental health, substance abuse, prior homelessness, or just frequent transitions. Now, frequent transitions can mean a number of things. Transitioning from home to home. Something that she just mentioned, people losing a loved one that they may have not just lived with, they could have been taking care of that person. And then out of the blue, remember we spoke about homes and generational wealth last week? Well, you're the one taking care of the family and the house, and then all of a sudden someone dies, and then here comes all the other siblings and families swooping in for their piece of the pie. There are so many things that can lead to homelessness, but I think it's imperative for all of us in the community to pretty much have an open mind, a very open mind, when confronting someone who is dealing with it. We had a story by Gary Forster Skelton not long ago where a gentleman who actually, when I thought back, served Maya and myself when we were in Bermuda looking for equipment for Cup Match selection night. Would have never known he had a job. He was working. He helped us. And then to learn months later, he was in the situation he was. So let's just be kind, courteous, and respectful of people. We never know what the situations are. Maya, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome. And just a reminder, some updates from Bermuda's Love on like events that you can go to help like recognize and understand homelessness in Bermuda. So there you have it. I think the next one that's coming up is on the 10th, so tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yep, World Homeless Day 2023, Shelter Sport Solidarity at the City Hall lawn at 12 p.m.
Well, yeah, Charles is right. It is tomorrow, Homeless Day, but we're starting a day early, so forgive us. Maya, thank you so much for that. See you
No problem. See you tomorrow.
I was right, Charles. You ain't, you know, shucks. Yeah, it is tomorrow, but I don't think one day is enough. And I'm glad that tomorrow we will be having Denise carrying on. So please do not miss out on that conversation. We're going to take a quick break, come back after this break, continue the conversation. Let us know in the comments, folks, what concerns you most about Bermuda right now. We've heard about rising prices. We've talked about clearing goods at customs. We've heard about Bermudians leaving in droves, right? What concerns you most in Bermuda right now? Chances are it's not going to get easier until we find ways to make it easier for ourselves. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Perry Ferbert, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Perry, how are you liking it so far?
It's been fun. It's been really, really fun, actually. Maya was highlighting our cricket team, and then she went on to speak with Tyler, and I think something he said was really profound, and hopefully this reaches our cricket team. He said watching Flora do what she did for our country and for herself, her own achievements, really put a fire in his back. And although we weren't successful in that, we reached a global audience, you know, and that is not something to take lightly. So although it didn't work out in, you know, our favor and the way we wanted to, you know, don't let the negative rob you of the positive. Like, that's a really long way to go, you know, and to get in front of all of those eyes, you don't know how that has encouraged someone else, you know.
So what? Just made me come up with a question.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it to the audience. What can we learn from our cricket team setback? And I think you just literally said it so eloquently. Like, no, like it's in all of us. Remember, Dame Flora Duffy didn't just win a gold medal. You know, she had been in the Olympics prior to that.
Yeah.
I know it hurts. I mean,
of course,
it hurts. You know, you want to get there. Like, that's the, you know, if we're honest, making a cricket World Cup, it's an easier path than football. And I know it hurts, but from a business perspective, you know, I could have given up on doing business back in 2010, you know, not that I failed, but I just.
I mean, but business owners fail all the time in a way that people don't even see. You take L's in your pocket often. Things aren't received as well as you would like, which of course converts to sales. That happens all the time. And thankfully, through social media and people's vulnerability about business, we hear about it a bit more, but no one ever talks about all of their losses. So I have trained my mind to step on those and use them as an elevation to the next level, because everything is a lesson, right? I'm a Christian, so I believe that all things are working together for my good, even the bad things. But I also give space and grace for people who do not see that, and use my voice to encourage them where I can, because that's really how my mind works. All right, this has happened. What's next? How can we maneuver around this? How can we utilize this? And what are the positives in this? Some people call it the silver lining or whatever else. But getting to that public stage, that's a big deal. It is. And although it didn't work out the way it was supposed to, I just offer that all things are working together for your good, because you can't see past this moment. You don't know how, had you gone there, this next really big thing couldn't happen, because you would have already gotten that reward. Like, we just can't see past this moment. That's why faith is so important to me. But I also understand that not everybody thinks like that, and I respect that too. But hopefully everyone can take that and kind of run with that, this misfortune in this moment cannot compare to,
it's something you said in there that, and I hope people catch it, and I'm gonna use it to compare to sports, but most business owners fail. Like, I mean, that's the reality. And Craig, the economist, said it. He said 90-something% of entrepreneurs will fail. And and you look at Michael Jordan always said, he missed more shots than he made. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest ever, right? Kobe Bryant also has the record for the most shots missed in NBA history. But again, he took that risk. He took the shot. So all of that to say, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this. But one of the key things is, hey, use it to become better. Use these setbacks to become better. Just want to go back to the earlier question, what concerns people most in Bermuda. Susan Ingham says, cost of living, there are kids who have no food regularly, no lunch at school. This has been ongoing for a long time, and it's getting worse. People are truly struggling. Any increase is overwhelming. What's some solutions to that, Susan? What do you think some solutions to it are? Very unfortunate truth that you've spoken there. What are some solutions on our end for this situation? Sean DeShield says a completely dysfunctional public education system that is failing our young people, coupled with the significant increase in antisocial behavior activity in public spaces. And what's the solution to that, Sean? What do you think the solution to that is? Is it an education authority? Is it, eradicating, getting rid of the Minister of Education and replacing him with someone? Like, what are the solutions? It's so easy. And the reason I say what the solutions are, folks, it's not to put you on the spot, but it's always easier talking about the problem than the solution. So I just want us to be very solution driven and actually consider solutions as we discuss these things. But anyone in the audience, let us know, what do you think we can learn from the cricket team setback? I'll end on this before we go to break, but Rosalind Famous says we can apply that thought refailing to today's protest. Rather than judging the number of people in attendance, look at it as part of a process. There's positives in it. It got started. But also we must be also critical in as well. It's nothing wrong with criticizing the number and judging it. Look, let's be honest. We sit here and we say, thou shalt not judge, right? And I don't necessarily disagree. But at the end of the day, it's critical that we do judge. That's how we get in position to make the right decisions in our lives, right? Judging doesn't necessarily mean the people. It could be judging the movement, right? It could be judging the process. We have to be critical. We're taught not to judge a book by its cover, but what do we do?
Yeah. I feel like I think my word for today is standard, and of course I have to just put my faith in there. It dictates how I think. Jesus himself said, I myself do not judge, but I judge based off of this standard. All the judgments hit this standard. So whether you are a Christian or not, where's the basis of your judgment coming from? Is it your opinion? Okay, well, that's not very valid. But if you are basing your opinion based off of facts or something that is standardized that everyone can then go look back to, then yes, the judgment is warranted because now this is where it holds space. An opinion-based judgment is never warranted because that is your opinion. You're entitled to it, but it doesn't have any merit and it doesn't hold any weight in public space if it's not backed up with something that everyone can attach it to. I feel like that's how judgment should work. Of course, I have a faith-based view on that, but just to make it practical for everyone, your opinions make sense and hold weight with you. They don't have to hold weight and make sense to anyone else. And a lot of times they don't if they cannot be attached to something that everyone cannot refute, or most people. Let's not say everyone, because getting everyone on the same page is a miracle. But
I don't
you
know.
know,
Quote, it was something about opinion being the lowest form of
judgment. It is.
Yeah. It hits home with me.
Yeah.
All right. So Michael Daniels asked a question: is Bermuda the only place in the world where cost of living is increasing? We said this earlier. No, it's not. We just spoke about somewhere in Canada where people like these are Bermuda prices. We've seen what's happening in Turkey and Argentina, where the cost of living is just through the roof. So it's not just Bermuda
and the States.
Yeah. I mean, you all don't want to know. Like, I don't complain about it. I just make adjustments. But for instance, something that Dr. David Chapman said years ago that I adopted is I get my produce every Sundays, right? I don't believe in buying a lot of stuff. I believe in getting what I know I'm going to eat. So I'm not one of those people where my fridge and freezer is going to be, well, the freezer, yes, but the fridge is never going to be full.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to have to throw away produce and food. So I only get what I believe is going to be eaten within my space. I think we have to stop over shopping. It's part of me solving my own problem because it's going up. It's definitely a different cost.
Everywhere it has increased. I think we can just see that as consumers who take trips. Once upon a time, you could go to the States and pack up a few suitcases and be good. Those days are gone. Yep. The expenses and the prices are quite exorbitant these days. That just does not exist. A Walmart run is not like what it used to be.
No, I went to, well, real quickly before we head to break, I went to Walmart yesterday for probably I couldn't tell you the last time I've been to Walmart. Like seriously, I just didn't know where it was.
Right.
But I tell you what, I went yesterday and I was like, man, it took me back to my college days. Right. And I had to make a purchase. I got me a candle, by the way. I got me a candle. And I don't want people to judge me like, oh, I'm too busy, not good. No, if something was always accessible, Target was always right here and accessible to me. So I had no need to go. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go back at me another candle now that I saw the price on it. I'm just saying, it's best cheaper than Target. Real quickly, do you watch sports at all?
Can't say that I do.
Okay. I went to
I watch basketball, but I haven't not consistent. Yeah.
Okay. No, I went to an NFL game yesterday and a college football game the day before, and I must say, and this is no disrespect to people who love the American sports, but if there's a study done showing that Americans suffer from, some attention deficit, I get it, because the amount of stops in these games, I got so bored. Like Americans say that soccer football is boring. It's flow. Like these games being live, and it's not my first time being to them, but it's just like you suck the fun out of it, man. It's like play the dang game. All right, playing for the day. We're gonna take our final break. We'll be back to wrap it up, give our final thoughts on today's show, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, welcome to ER Fisheries. I'm Jalen Steed, store manager and trained chef, and I'm here to help you with all of your food needs. Let's talk about why you should come and check out ER Fisheries. We offer the widest range of specialty meats and seafood items at a price point that will absolutely fit your budget. As a chef, I'm able to answer all of your food questions, help you come up with meal ideas, and generally guide you in the right direction. You'll get a custom shopping experience unlike any other food store in Bermuda, where we'll cater to your needs and provide you with excellent customer service. Where else can you get quality cooking advice and quality products? I look forward to helping you with all your meal ideas.
All righty, welcome back. Thanks again to our partners at BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, if you appreciated today's discussion, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Send it through your WhatsApp groups. Good conversations taking place here. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Perry, are you ready to answer this question?
As ready as I'm going to be.
All righty. Here we go. It's a who said it. This is going to be easy, I think. Okay, quote. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. End quote. Known as the greatest.
The greatest. Ali?
Got it pretty fast. Okay.
Wow, champion Ali. I like Ali though. So, yeah.
I see what we have to do if you work academy people. You and
We're
Roger.
No, but see, you had Rajay on, and Rajay and I were in the same year. That year was exceptional. Yes, we were bright year, very good year.
Oh.
I think not me specifically, but our year broke some records then. We were a very brilliant year.
No, I honestly did not. I know you both went to work. I didn't know you guys were in the same year. Okay. Like, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. As you can see, the show is getting a bit younger. I mean, I think us we could hold our intelligence. Come on, Sherry. Let's hold it down on the other end of on the plus 40 side, guys. Let's hold it down. But actually, some people said Kobe Bryant, MJ, and Anika got Ali. All right. Anyway, what's your final thoughts on today's show, Perry? What are your thoughts? I mean, we spoke about a lot from customs to the cricket team. Any final thoughts for the audience?
I think that we are always, I know that we are stronger in numbers. So with whatever concerns we might have, if you share those concerns, join forces with the people that you have the same concerns with, and not just have the concerns, but have solutions, as you've been kind of reiterating today. I use this analogy all the time of awareness being really dangerous. And I use the example of standing across a street and watching a building burn. You are aware that the building is on fire, but you are doing nothing to put the fire out. So awareness is good, but it is not effective if you do nothing with it. So having that mindset of having a solutions-based mind and being solutions-oriented has to come with your concerns, If not, you're just throwing stones. I'm like, nobody likes that. So yeah, those are my thoughts today. Find your tribe who share your concerns, and then have a plan with your concerns to eradicate the concerns.
I like that. I'm just going to go because I tweeted this morning. And of course, I can't remember what I tweeted. I tweet so much. But I basically will sum up today's conversation by just saying, if people won't fight for themselves, what chance does anyone else stand? And I think that's appropriate for whatever it is your concerns are.
Yeah.
You have to fight for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You've got to fight for them. And if you're not willing to fight for yourself, then what chance does anyone else stand? Folks, you know what? The ER Fisheries and Foods Daily Inspiration, we're just going to stick with Ali. He hated every minute of training, but he didn't quit. He believed in suffering now and living the rest of his life as a champion, and that he did. Moral of the story, through these challenges that we all face, there's going to have to be some sort of sacrifice on each of our behalves. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Arts Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Perry Ferbert. I am Jamel Harp, and please make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.